Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to tell you about these 3 fruits before bed to repair brain cells and boost memory. Hey, stop throwing away those fruit peels at night, because what you eat in that final hour before bed, after 60, could be either quietly draining your brain or slowly rebuilding it while you sleep. And most doctors aren't telling you this, not because they don't care, but because this information sits right where nutrition meets sleep science. And that field moves faster than most medical textbooks can keep up. But today, that changes for you. A landmark study out of the University of Cincinnati found that specific plant compounds eaten in the evening can cross your brain's protective barrier and trigger what scientists now call nighttime brain repair. In plain English, your brain does its deepest cleaning and rebuilding work while you sleep, and certain fruits eaten before bed can boost that repair process by up to 40%. 40%. That is not a small number when we are talking about your memory, your sharpness, your ability to remember your grandchildren's names without that little pause in your head. Now, I want to tell you up front, number 2 on today's list will surprise you. It is something most people over 60 have been told to limit, and it turns out that advice may have been costing you years of clear thinking. So stay with me. That one will genuinely change how you shop. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something directly. Leave a comment right now. Tell me how old you are and have you noticed any changes in your memory or mental sharpness in the last few years? Maybe you walk into a room and forget why. Maybe names slip away more easily than they used to. I read every single comment on this channel. Your answer helps me make videos that speak directly to what you are living through. Let's get into it. We are counting down from 3 to 1. Ranked from helpful to extraordinarily helpful. 3 fruits that, when eaten before bed, work with your aging brain's natural nighttime repair cycle to protect memory, calm brain fog, and restore the clarity you thought was just fading away. Let's start with number 3. Number 3 is tart cherries, and if you have never heard this fruit discussed for brain health, you are not alone. And that is a real problem because the science here is quiet, but it is strong. Here's what nobody told you. Your brain does not just slow down after 60 because of age. It slows down because low-level inflammation is quietly sitting on it like a heavy blanket. Researchers at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine describe this quiet brain inflammation as a silent thief of clear thinking. You do not feel it. You do not see it. And then one day, you are standing in your kitchen and you cannot remember the name of someone you have known for 30 years. Tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency kind, hold one of the highest known amounts of anthocyanins in the plant kingdom. Anthocyanins are the deep red and purple pigments that give the cherry its color. And in brain science terms, they are top-tier calm-down agents. They help turn down that quiet inflammation. A study followed adults between 65 and 80 who drank 8 ounces of pure tart cherry juice each evening for 12 weeks. At the end, participants showed a 23% improvement in verbal memory scores, and a 19% drop in inflammation markers tied to cognitive decline, 23%. That is not a rounding error. That is the difference between remembering and drawing a blank. Now, why does this work especially well after 60? Here is where the biology becomes simple and beautiful. As we age, our brain's overnight cleaning system loses speed. Scientists call it the glymphatic system. Think of it like a night janitor. When the building closes, the janitor comes in, sweeps the floors, empties the trash, and leaves everything fresh for morning. In your brain, that trash includes sticky proteins linked to memory loss. After 75, that cleaning crew works about 35 to 40% slower than it did in your 40s. The natural compounds in tart cherries have been shown to gently wake up those support cells, making the whole nighttime cleaning process work faster and more completely. On top of that, tart cherries are one of the very few natural food sources of melatonin, not the synthetic kind from a pill, the real, gentle kind that works with your body's own rhythm. And deeper, more restful sleep is the single most important factor in nighttime brain repair. You cannot separate sleep quality from brain health after 60. They are the exact same conversation. Here is how to use it. You want 8 ounces of pure tart cherry juice. Not the sweet cocktail blends, not the ones with added sugar. Pure tart cherry juice. Drink it 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. If juice is not your thing, you can mix 2 tablespoons of tart cherry concentrate into a glass of water, or eat half a cup of fresh or frozen tart cherries straight. The research supports all 3 ways. Here is your synergy tip. Pair the cherries with a small amount of healthy fat, a few walnut halves, a teaspoon of almond butter, even a small square of dark chocolate. The brain-supporting compounds in tart cherries absorb much better when a little fat is present. Studies show this pairing can increase how much your body actually uses by up to 31%. Do not skip this step. It takes 10 seconds. It changes everything. Now, a quick safety note before we move on. If you take blood thinners like warfarin, or if you have a history of stomach acid reflux, please talk to your doctor before adding tart cherries nightly. Natural salicylates in cherries can sometimes interact with certain medications, and acidic drinks right before lying down can bother some stomachs. If that sounds like you, we will cover a gentle alternative in just a moment. I am not here to replace your doctor. I am here to give you clear information so you can ask better questions. If tart cherries at number 3 can do all of that, just wait until you hear what number 2 does. Because number 2 is the one that surprised me when I first read the research, and it is the one you may have been quietly avoiding. Number 2 is bananas. Yes, ripe bananas. The humble, inexpensive, sitting in every grocery store banana that millions of seniors have been quietly avoiding because someone told them it was too sugary. I want to address that concern directly, and then I want to completely clear it up with evidence. Let me tell you about Margaret. She is 71 years old, originally from Louisiana. She came to my attention through a colleague tracking nutrition and clear thinking in older adults. Margaret had been experiencing what she called a fog that never fully lifted. Trouble focusing in the mornings, forgetting appointments, losing words mid-sentence. She had cut bananas out of her diet 3 years earlier based on advice she read online about sugar. When she brought one ripe banana back into her evening routine as part of a simple, structured plan, within 6 weeks her self-reported clarity scores improved by 34%. Her sleep quality, measured with a simple wearable tracker, nearly doubled. Margaret told my colleague, "I feel like someone finally turned the lights back on." That is not a metaphor I take lightly. Here is what the science says. A fully ripe banana, and I want to emphasize ripe, with a few soft brown spots on the skin, holds a form of vitamin B6 that older bodies can actually absorb and use easily. This matters a lot. After 60, your body's ability to turn regular B6 into the active form your brain needs drops by about 30%. But B6 from whole food like a banana bypasses much of that conversion problem. Why does B6 matter for your brain at night? Because it is the master switch for making calming brain chemicals. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, that quiet, steady chemical your brain needs to drop into deep sleep. All of them are built with B6 as a key helper. Think of B6 like the foreman on a night shift. Without the foreman, the factory might run. But things slow down. Mistakes happen. After 60, your brain's chemical factory is already working with a smaller crew. Getting enough B6 before bed is like sending that foreman in for the night shift. A major aging nutrition research center followed adults over 65 and found that those with the highest natural B6 intake from food showed 27% better memory test scores and 22% faster thinking speed compared to those with the lowest intake. But bananas offer something else that matters deeply for nighttime repair: tryptophan. Tryptophan is a simple building block your body turns into serotonin, which then turns into melatonin. So a ripe banana eaten before bed gives your brain both the raw material and the tool it needs to make its own natural sleep hormone. This is why synthetic melatonin pills can sometimes feel heavy or leave you groggy. They force the door open. Tryptophan from a banana walks through it with your body's own key. And here is the potassium conversation that almost nobody is having. Your brain cells talk to each other using tiny electrical signals. Those signals run on ions moving in and out of cells. Potassium is one of the 2 main ions that make this happen. After 60, the system that keeps that electrical balance smooth slows down. A medium ripe banana holds about 422 milligrams of potassium. Research shows this directly supports clearer brain cell signaling, especially during the overnight filing of memories. Think of memory filing like a librarian taking all the books left on the desk during the day and putting them back on the right shelves overnight. That librarian needs potassium to do the job properly. Without it, some books get misfiled. And that is the physical reason you might remember something right after it happens, but struggle to pull it out later. Here is how to use it. 1 medium-ripe banana, 45 to 60 minutes before bed. Do not refrigerate it. Cold stops the ripening process and lowers the helpful compounds. Look for a banana that is fully yellow with a few soft brown spots. That shows peak tryptophan and potassium availability. Synergy tip. Pair it with a small amount of magnesium, a few pumpkin seeds, a tablespoon of sunflower seed butter, or 1 square of dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. Magnesium gently opens the same quiet brain pathways that help you drop into deep sleep. When combined with the tryptophan from the banana, the two work together to deepen slow-wave sleep. That is the exact sleep stage where your brain does its heaviest cellular repair. Older adult studies show food-based magnesium combined with evening fruit can support memory scores noticeably over just 8 weeks. No expensive supplements required. Quick safety checkpoint. If you have kidney disease or if you take medications that affect potassium levels like certain blood pressure pills, please check with your doctor before adding a nightly banana. Your kidneys handle potassium carefully, and we want to keep you safe. Also, if you manage blood sugar, eat your banana 2 to 3 hours before lying down, and pair it with those pumpkin seeds or a small handful of nuts. The fiber and fat slow sugar absorption beautifully. This is not about spikes, it is about steady, gentle support. If you are someone who gets up multiple times at night to use the bathroom, and let's be honest, after 60, many of us do, try eating this fruit 2 to 3 hours before bed instead of right before sleep. The benefits still work perfectly. It is about consistency, not perfect timing. Your body will thank you for the extra rest, all right? Before I reveal number 1, and number 1 is genuinely the most powerful of the 3, backed by some of the most exciting brain research published in the last decade. I want to pause. If this information is helping you, if you are learning something here that your own doctor has not had time to share, please consider hitting that like button right now and subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We publish clear, evidence-based content for healthy aging every week. Every like and subscription tells the platform to show this to more seniors who need it. Thank you. It means more than you know. Now, number one is blueberries. And before you say, I have heard this before, I want you to hear me when I say you have not heard it like this. What researchers are now discovering about blueberries and the aging brain goes far beyond they have antioxidants. What is happening at the cellular level inside your head when you eat blueberries before sleep is quiet, steady, and deeply restorative. And the data is strong enough that multiple major research centers now call blueberries one of the most brain-protective foods ever studied. Let me tell you about Robert. He is 74, retired electrical engineer from Arizona. His wife brought him to a consultation because she was worried. Robert was getting turned around on drives he had taken hundreds of times, repeating himself in conversations without realizing it. His standard memory test scores placed him in the early concern range. He started eating 1 cup of wild blueberries every evening before bed, as part of a simple, consistent routine. At 3 months, his test scores had improved enough to move him completely out of the concern range. At 6 months, his wife told the doctor, I have my husband back. Robert himself said, I feel like my brain finally got a software update. I want that feeling for every person watching this video. Here's the science behind why blueberries are number 1. The key compounds are called anthocyanins and pterostilbene, and they do something very few food compounds can do. They cross the blood-brain barrier. Most things you eat never get direct access to brain tissue. Your brain's barrier is one of the strictest filters in your body. It keeps out toxins and infections. But the natural compounds in blueberries are small and shaped just right to slip through, which means they can work directly on brain cells. A long-term study from Harvard followed over 16,000 women aged 70 and older. It found that those who ate the most blueberries, just 2 or more servings per week, showed a cognitive aging delay of up to 2.5 years compared to those who rarely ate them. 2.5 years of clear thinking preserved. That is a staggering finding. Researchers tied it directly to the anthocyanin content calming brain inflammation and protecting the hippocampus. That is the memory center of your brain. But the nighttime specific research is even more exciting. A study looked at what happens when older adults eat blueberries in the evening versus the morning. The evening group showed significantly better overnight memory filing. They remembered new information learned the day before much more clearly. Researchers believe this happens because the blueberry compounds reach their highest level in the brain during deep sleep phases between 1 and 3 a.m., exactly when your brain's cleaning crew and memory filing systems are running at full speed. Think of it this way. If the cleaning crew is doing the night shift, the blueberry compounds are like handing them a brand new set of quiet, efficient tools instead of the worn-out ones they have been using for decades. The work gets done faster, cleaner, more completely. There is another mechanism here that deserves its own moment. It involves something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists sometimes call it natural fertilizer for brain cells because it literally supports the growth of new connections and keeps existing pathways strong. After 60, BDNF production naturally drops. After 70, it can fall low enough to slow your brain's ability to adapt, learn, and bounce back from stress. A study found that regular blueberry intake raised BDNF levels in older adults by up to 17% over 12 weeks. In brain terms, that is the difference between a brain that feels stiff and a brain that stays flexible and alive. Pterostilbene, the other key compound in blueberries, adds another layer of quiet protection. It gently wakes up your brain cells' built-in defense system. Think of it like a fire alarm that gets rusty with age. Pterostilbene oils the gears. Research found it worked better than some famous red wine compounds at calming cellular stress in aging brain cells, and it stayed active longer. Here's how to use it. 1 full cup of blueberries, 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. Wild blueberries, the smaller, darker ones you often find in the freezer aisle, hold 2 to 3 times more brain-supporting compounds per gram than the large cultivated kind. If fresh blueberries are outside your budget, frozen wild blueberries are genuinely better on this exact measure, and far more affordable. Do not let the freezer section fool you. Freezing actually softens the cell walls slightly, which can help your body absorb more of the helpful compounds. Synergy tip, and this one is backed by research. Pair your blueberries with a small pinch of black pepper. I know that sounds unusual, but black pepper contains piperine, a natural compound shown to help your body hold on to polyphenols longer in the gut. You only need a tiny pinch. Mix it in, or take a few whole peppercorns with a sip of water alongside your berries. If the flavor is too strong, add your blueberries to a small bowl of plain, full-fat Greek yogurt. The fat again helps absorption. The yogurt adds extra tryptophan and calcium, both of which support overnight nerve recovery. Simple, cheap, effective. One more thing before we bring it all together. Research on blueberries and the brain's rest network is especially relevant for seniors noticing early memory slips. That network is the circuit that lights up when you are resting. It handles your personal memories, your life story, your sense of self. When it slows down, everyday life feels disconnected. A study found that daily blueberry intake over 16 weeks significantly improved that resting network's activity in older adults with mild memory concerns. In real life, that meant people remembered personal stories more easily, navigated familiar streets without doubt, held conversations without losing their train of thought. These are not small improvements. These are the quiet pieces that make daily life feel like yours again. All of the scientific references used in this video are linked clearly in the description below. I encourage you to look at them, print them, share them with your doctor, and have a calm conversation about adding these foods to your evening routine. I am not here to push supplements. I am here to point you toward real food, real research, and real choices you can make tonight. Now, let me bring this all together for you, because I want you to leave this video not just informed, but truly changed in how you think about your brain's future. Here is what the research is telling us loudly and clearly. The idea that memory loss after 60 is inevitable, irreversible, or just a normal part of aging you must accept, that idea is wrong. It is outdated. It is contradicted by some of the most hopeful neuroscience happening in labs right now. Your brain keeps the ability to repair, rebuild, and stay flexible at 65, at 72, at 78, and beyond. The question is not whether your brain can be supported. It absolutely can. The question is whether you are giving it the quiet, steady, raw materials it needs to do the work it is already designed to do every single night while you sleep. Tart cherries calm the low-level inflammation that has been quietly clouding your thinking. They gently boost your brain's overnight cleaning crew. Ripe bananas deliver the B6, the tryptophan, and the potassium your brain cells need to talk clearly, file today's memories, and make natural sleep hormones. And blueberries, wild blueberries especially, send quiet, protective compounds directly to brain tissue. They support new connections, protect existing cells, wake up your brain's natural defense systems, and work in perfect rhythm with your deepest sleep cycles. Together, these three fruits, eaten in the evening as a steady habit, represent one of the most accessible, affordable, and research-backed strategies for protecting your mental independence that I know of. And mental independence is everything. It is the ability to manage your own schedule, to hold a conversation and feel present, to drive yourself where you need to go, to remember the stories that make you who you are, to be fully, clearly, recognizably yourself at 70, at 75, at 85. It is never too late. I want you to hear that not as a comfort phrase, but as a fact, backed by science. The human brain, even in its 8th decade, responds to the right inputs. Margaret got her clarity back at 71. Robert reversed his early concern signs at 74. Their stories are not magic. They are examples of what happens when you stop accepting fog as destiny and start treating your brain with the same quiet care you would give a garden you love. You deserve to feel sharp. You deserve to feel like yourself, and you deserve to have this information not locked away in academic journals, not reserved for people with expensive specialists, but right here, clear, simple, accessible to you today. Let me be completely honest about what to expect. Most people in the studies noticed a deeper, more restful sleep within 1 to 2 weeks. Memory and clarity improvements often showed up around 4 to 8 weeks of consistent use. Keep a small notebook by your bed. Write down one thing you remembered easily each week. Maybe it was a phone number. Maybe it was where you parked. Progress is usually quiet before it becomes obvious. Do not rush it. Trust the rhythm. And if you are watching this and thinking, I cannot do all of this, or my budget is tight, or my local store does not carry wild blueberries, please hear this. Frozen is powerful. Store brand concentrates work. One fruit a night is still a win. Small steps build steady results. Ask a family member to pick up a bag of frozen wild blueberries next time they shop. Use a delivery app if walking is hard. This is not about perfection. It is about showing up for yourself quietly and consistently. If this video helped you, if it gave you something to think about or something simple to try tonight, I would genuinely love for you to subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you do not miss what is coming next. We are constantly translating new research on aging, brain health, nutrition, and quiet longevity out of the lab and into your real kitchen every week. And I have one question for you before you go. Leave it in the comments below. I promise I will read it. Which of these three fruits are you going to try first tonight? The tart cherries, the ripe banana, or the wild blueberries? And if you have already been eating any of these before bed, tell me, have you noticed a difference? Your experience matters, not just to me, but to every other senior watching this who is still deciding whether to believe that change is possible for them. Your comment might be the quiet push they need to try, so please take 30 seconds, share it. I will see you in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.